General Commander starring Steven Seagal might just be the worst movie ever made, and I do not say that hyperbolically. It really is one of the worst things I've ever sat through. Now, this movie has competition for the worst movie ever made. Ice Cube's War of the Worlds comes to mind, but I'm telling you, General Commander is so hilariously awful, I had to make a video about it. General Commander is confusing, and I'm not just talking about the plot, which is confusing, but we'll get there later. I'm talking about the title itself. General Commander, the title makes no sense. I'm embarrassed saying General Commander out loud. General Commander combines two different military ranking systems. You cannot combine General Commander. Generals are Army, Marines, commanders are Navy. You can't have a General Commander. It's like a 10-year-old boy was playing too much Call of Duty and decided to make up a military guy named General Commander something, which is the cinematic equivalent of Big Tough Guy Man movie. Maybe General Commander isn't a rank. Maybe it's a guy named Commander who happens to have achieved the rank of General. Maybe he's a general of commanders. Maybe he is a commander, generally speaking. I know I'm harping on this a lot, but it's important because the movie is stupid right from the beginning before you even watch the thing it's dumb. As for the movie itself, stick around as I explain why this abomination is one of the worst movies I've ever seen and why it deserves to be obliterated from existence. And make sure to stay around to the end as I make my case because I'm saving the worst part of the movie for last. General Commander is absolutely brain-melting nonsense from frame one, and it somehow only gets worse from there. This 2019 direct-to-video trash isn't just bad. It's a strong contender for one of the worst movies ever put to film. It's a heaping, joyless, soul-crushing pile of steaming excrement and incompetence that it makes you wonder how Steven Seagal even got funding for this thing. If you look at his IMDb, there is just a long string of embarrassingly bad films, and this one's right there as one of the worst of the worst. And he isn't done yet. I just looked at IMDb and saw that he has a 2026 movie coming out called The Order of the Dragon. I'll be curious if that movie manages to sink below the level of this atrocity, but let's get into the movie. Before we talk about the plot, let's look at the man himself, Steven Seagal, the walking advertisement for what happens when ego outlives talent and denial refuses to die. Back in his prime, with the ponytail, the menacing whisper, the Aikido moves that almost looked cool back in the 80s and 90s, now, General Commander, he achieved Nirvana-level laziness. The man spends 90% of the runtime of the movie, well, he's not in 90% of the runtime of the movie, he lets the other actors do most of the action, but the 90% that he's in, most of it is spent sitting down. Not a great look for an action star. Most of the movie he's sitting behind desks, sitting in armchairs or on couches. The only time he likely stands up is to head over to the movie catering buffet. But I don't want to be misunderstood here. I understand people get older. They are no longer as physically fit or young as they used to be. I'm no spring chicken, but at least I let my gray come out naturally, and I'm not going to pretend I'm 25. The film treats him like a fragile Ming vase. Move him too much, and he might just shatter, or worse, break a sweat. Okay, I've been putting this off too long. Let's talk about the actual story, such as it is. Steven Seagal plays Jake Alexander, a forgettable man with a forgettable name. He's just like every other late-period Steven Seagal character. As far as I can tell, he's a CIA global response guy or something. His team botches a sting operation, one guy gets killed, and the agency tells them to stand down. So they go rogue, and by rogue, that means they go to Hong Kong, get funding for sort of privatizing their operation. They mention no way in which this organization could ever return an investment to this billionaire, but he's Steven Seagal, so he gets the funding. Just like the real world, somehow these movies get funding even though there's no return for the investment. Maybe they make just enough to turn an itsy-bitsy profit. I don't know, the budget of this looked about $12, and if it made $13, I guess they're in the red. With the new funding securely in place, they name their ragtag operation General Commander, and with that, we finally learn the reason for the stupid title. And now that we see why they're called General Commander, it becomes even stupider, because Steven Seagal, if he's really supposed to be some operative, badass guy who kills people in the dead of night, he should know the military ranking system, and he should know instinctively that General Commander really just sounds stupid. I know I keep harping on that, but I just can't get over the title of this movie. It is the worst title of a movie of all time. If you can think of a worse one, put it in the comments. So what does this rogue team of action heroes actually do? They go after some Italian mobster guy named Orsetti, who's got this black market stealing kidney thing going on. And as far as bad guy plots are concerned, I guess this one's okay. I've seen it in a movie or TV show here and there. It's not an original idea, but we're not expecting original ideas here. We could at least get a semi-competent idea, but this is barely a plot. It's a thing that happens in the movie, and it's an excuse to have some action, such as it is. It gives our heroes something to do, you would think, but nothing happens. And then after nothing happens, more nothing happens. The movie's 85 minutes long, which sounds short, and it is, but it feels like 3.5 hours of watching paint dry, although watching paint dry actually has an arc, a story, a plot, a resolution. The paint is wet, and now it's dry. In this movie, things happen, and then other things happen. The end. It's billed as an action movie, but there really isn't that much action. The action that does occur is mostly Steven Seagal's, or Jake, whatever his name is, crew, doing a few bits and pieces here and there, while Steven Seagal sits back and watches from a comfortable seated position. When he finally fights, it's the most pathetic display you will ever see. Slow, lumbering, arm-waving nonsense that kind of reminds me of somebody's grandpa shooing away a fly with a rolled-up newspaper, and it's almost as exciting. One memorable low point has our hero advancing on a bad guy wielding what appears to be a comically large pie knife. He mumbles threats in that gravelly, incomprehensible whisper, which goes from intimidating to actually kind of sad. The editors do their damnedest to try to make this exciting. His little arm movements and quick cuts make it look almost like something is going on, and of course, Steven Seagal wins. Hooray, or something. What really stings is how joylessly incompetent all of it is. Other bad Steven Seagal movies at least have their watchable weird quirks, the monologuing rants, the sudden Buddhist insight lectures between naps and snacks. And when he was younger, he did the classic arm break thing where he would maneuver the guy with the arm over his shoulder and crack, the bone would pop out. Some early Steven Seagal stuff was pretty fun. And you know what? Under Siege approaches being an actual good movie. It has Tommy Lee Jones in it. It's not that bad. And you know what? Steven Seagal, being the smarmy person that he is in the movie, kind of works for his character there. That's a competently done film. But it gets worse from there. That was his peak, and then it dropped off rapidly. Spoiler alert, the movie ends with Steven Seagal dying off camera. They have a drone strike because apparently Steven Seagal's misbehaving and the CIA is mad at him. So he wanders off into the woods and a drone strike blows him the f up. I can't say I shed any tears. It's a far cry from the ending of No Time to Die where, as dumb as it is, James Bond's death in that movie had some weight to it. This just felt like a mercy killing. Look, if you're wanting that so bad it's good marathon with friends over massive quantities of booze, you might get a chuckle or two out of it, but honestly, you're probably just going to be bored and confused. There's much better bad Steven Seagal movies if you want that vibe. All right, I promised that I saved the best, worst part for last. There's a sequence at the beginning of the movie where Steven Seagal is being debriefed by CIA lady. Now, right from the start, there's just something off. The lighting is bad, it's darkly lit, it's very dark all around him, but the faces are brightly lit, which kind of makes the room feel larger than it is. It's a cheapy thing to do on a low-budget movie. I can forgive that, but what I can't forgive is the dialogue here. She asks him, "Did you kill so-and-so?" And she's trying to get an honest, straightforward answer from the guy, but all he does is mumble something about there's a government within a government, and I know things that they won't even let you understand, and just trying to sound cool.
And done things that most people couldn't have done. This country.
Here's the thing that bugs me. I can't tell if it's just really badly written or if Steven Seagal went off script and just started making up stuff.
Country. slaughtered. Slaughtered. That's the stuff they're not telling you.
And you know what? I'm not sure which would be worse.
Governments inside a government, nobody would have thought 20 years ago if I would have told them.
Somebody actually writing this down and thinking it was cool, or Steven Seagal thinking, I'm going to show everybody how badass I am, watch this. And then he goes into this rambling monologue. I'm not sure which thing would be sadder, and quite frankly, I don't want to know which one it is. Now, I get what they were going for. It's a framing device. Have somebody talk about what happens in the movie, show the movie, and at the end of the movie, you show people talking about what happened again. It's a good framing device. It worked in The Usual Suspects and a gazillion other movies, but it doesn't work here. It feels lazy. The execution is way off. If you don't watch any other part of the movie, just check this piece out. It's just so unbelievably bad.
Don't ask me what I did, how I did it.
And it encompasses the entirety of why the movie is terrible. Horrible dialogue, Steven Seagal sitting on his ass, and nothing happening. Well, folks, I think I've spent enough time talking about this turd. If you've actually seen this movie or other Steven Seagal movies, drop a comment down below and let me know what you think. And you know what? If you want to support human-made works that are not produced by AI at all, 100% human-written, go check out my novels on Amazon.com. I did not use AI. I wrote every word of these books myself. It all came from my imagination, and I hope you enjoy reading them. If you want to support this channel, links are in the description below. Thank you very much. I'm open to suggestions. What horrible, awful things would you like to subject me to for a future video? Until next time, folks, Eric Wilford Watson signing out.